My soul is an endless chasm of pain. My heart has blackened and turned to dust. This world is one of eternal torment. Darkness has consumed me and left me a sorrowful shell of my former self. I am tortured by my emptiness and darkness and eternal pain, and my soul is also black and dusty as... Okay, that's probably going a little bit too far there. But let me tell you guys, I'm a little bummed right now. See, Nintendo just revealed the major details for their upcoming online service, and, well, to be honest, there's really not too much to say. $20 a year gets you the service, and it may not be free, but it's still only 1/3 the price of PS Plus and Xbox Live Gold, and offers family plans. Then it comes with cloud saves, which is awesome, as well as access to a range of NES games with online play. Pretty neat. What I really want to talk about today, though, is the Virtual Console. More specifically, how after the Nintendo Switch Online info dump, Nintendo confirmed the Switch won't be getting it. And this makes me a sad Arlo. Before we go any further, though, let's look at exactly what they said on the matter. There are currently no plans to bring classic games together under the Virtual Console banner as has been done on other Nintendo systems. Then, there are a variety of ways in which classic games from Nintendo and other publishers are made available on Nintendo Switch, such as through Nintendo Entertainment System, Nintendo Switch Online, Nintendo eShop, or as packaged collections. Nintendo Entertainment System, Nintendo Switch Online, will provide a fun new way to experience classic NES games that will be different from the Virtual Console service, thanks to enhancements such as added online play, voice chat via the Nintendo Switch Online app, and the various play modes of Nintendo Switch. Now, I'm going to clear this up right now. There is still a lot we don't know. The Switch has got a whole lot of time left in this world, and who knows how things will look a few years from now. Maybe someday every classic game ever will be made available to us in some form or another. But based on what we currently know, I think it's safe for me to be at least a little wary of the direction this is all headed, and I want to talk about why that is. I want to try something a little different, though. Instead of just dumping out my opinion all in one go, I want to address a lot of the comments I've been reading in favor of Nintendo ditching the Virtual Console. I'm going to try to keep things respectful, of course, because everyone's allowed to have their own opinion on this, so I don't want you to think that I think less of you if you yourself have made one or more comments along these lines, even if I happen to hugely disagree with them. So let's hear comment number 1. Nintendo didn't say the service wasn't coming, they just said it wouldn't be called the Virtual Console. Clickbait much? Okay, I kinda see where you guys are coming from with this one. Yes, it's a little sensationalist to assume that the death of the Virtual Console means the death of classic games on the Switch. As they said, classic games are still coming in one form or another. But here's my thing. It's not like this E3 Nintendo is going to announce their new classic games storefront with games from the NES to the GameCube available to buy, and it's going to be called the Schmirtual Schmonsole. No Virtual Console on Switch doesn't just mean that whatever they come up with won't be called the Virtual Console. It means that whatever we get will not be the Virtual Console. It will not function as the Virtual Console functions. And changing things up is fine, but I'm of the opinion that simply having games that we can pay for and play on our systems is the best option. It's the simplest, and it gets me exactly the games I want and nothing else that I don't want. When you've got what you feel is perfect for you and your wants, as I felt about the Virtual Console, I think it's reasonable to at least entertain the idea that a drastic change might end up being less than ideal. And if you don't believe that all this means a drastic change, just look at the context. Nintendo announces their new subscription service for NES games, then immediately announces that the VC is going bye-bye. I feel this communicates that on Switch, it might not be as simple as cruising into the eShop and picking out the one classic game you want. Like I said, I could be wrong, but that's at least where I'm coming from right now. That's why saying we're losing the Virtual Console means a lot more than just a name change. On to comment number 2. I'm glad the Virtual Console is dead. Now I won't be forced to buy all these games a third time. This one messes with my brain. Again, I don't want to insult anyone who said something like this, because apparently half the people on the internet feel this way, but I can't wrap my head around it. First off, what? And secondly, what? If you're talking about the Wii and the Wii U, you haven't even bought these games twice. It's free to transfer your Wii VC games to your Wii U, and if you want to play with the gamepad and some extra features, it's like $1 to upgrade. And you'd think that just having the option to buy again on the Switch would mean that you had to do it? That someone would come to your house and force you to buy Link to the Past again, so you'd rather that no one even had the option, including people who haven't even had a chance to buy these games in the first place? I'm sorry, but that's a little ridiculous to me. Nintendo has said in the past that they weren't going to make anyone rebuy anything they already own, so if they did end up bringing the VC to the Switch, they would probably either make rebuys free or charge $1 or something again for the upgrade. And to expand on this, I'm hearing lots of people say it's best that the Virtual Console is dead, citing all the imperfections in the service. I'm glad I don't have to wait for Nintendo to release games at a slow trickle, that kind of thing. Have you ever heard of throwing the baby out with the bathwater? There's no rule that says the Virtual Console has to have these problems and that it can't be improved with a new iteration. Nintendo could release games faster if they wanted to. They could rethink how they price their games. They could do anything. The idea that it was flawed, so the whole thing should just go out the window, makes no sense to me. The idea that removing the option to simply go and buy these old games is a good thing, I just can't understand it. Options are always good, but we'll talk a little bit more about options in a bit. Basically, you've just got to look at the situation a little more objectively, not just through the lens of your own buying habits and your existing library. I personally never like to take the stance of, it doesn't affect me, so I don't care, everyone else can go suck a lemon. Here's the next comment. There are still all these other ways to play classic games on Switch, and this of course mirrors what Nintendo themselves said. But here's the thing, not all classic games and platforms are the same. Classic games does not just mean classic games, period. You have classic games or you don't. Right now we know we're getting NES games through Nintendo Switch Online, then we've got Neo Geo games and third-party collections and whatnot on the eShop. Okay, but what if I don't care about NES games? Which, for the record, I really don't. I'm sure that makes me a total gaming poser, but there just aren't a lot of NES games I feel like sitting down and playing, and I especially don't care about playing them online. Then Neo Geo, same thing, never had one, don't know any of the games, not interested. Then there are third-party classic collections on the eShop, and Sega's handling their own re-releases, that's good, okay. But all this is, at least at the moment, a far, far cry from a replacement for the Virtual Console. Where's the Super NES? Where's the N64, the Game Boy, the GameCube, anything like that? Those are the systems with the games I want to be playing, and a lot of people want to be playing. That's the vast majority of the Nintendo library right there. And again, I know they might come in some form later down the line. Maybe Nintendo will be releasing their own classic collections and remasters and all that. Maybe Nintendo will start including games from other systems in their NSO catalog. But now we come back to that options thing. What if I don't care about playing games online and I don't want to pay for the service? What if I only want a few classic games and don't want to pay to have access to all of them? What if I only want one of the games in a classic collection? What if I don't want to pay an inflated price for a remaster and just want the option to spend $5 or $10 on the original? Like I said, just offering everything individually in a simple storefront gave literally everyone exactly what they wanted. Wrapping everything up into a service? Hey, maybe it'll end up being a really great deal. But I can't realistically see every game I've ever loved being included in a $20 a year service. And at least at the moment, quote, all these other ways to play classic games don't sound super promising to me. I don't even know what all that entails, and it sounds like I might end up having to do some compromising if I want to play the games I want to play. And even if everything ends up being great and I'm totally wrong and somehow I can just buy whatever I want, how long am I gonna have to wait on that? Right now, there's absolutely no mention whatsoever of anything other than NES games on NSO, and no mention of any other classic games at all coming to the system. I don't want to have to wait until halfway through my Switch's life or more to start enjoying the old games I love on it. Yeah, I know Nintendo doesn't owe it to me to sell me those old games, that's another thing I hear a lot, but it's just a bummer. It's something I really want as a customer, and it's disconcerting that at the moment they're just shrugging their shoulders and telling us to suck it up and play some NES and Neo Geo games. Okay, but here's the big one. There are other ways to play all these old games. Just get them on the Wii or the Wii U or on their original systems. Seriously? There's nothing about playing a classic game on this thing that seems a little more ideal to you? There's no difference between this and this? This and this, this, and this? This is the Switch, man. Go back in time and erase the Virtual Console from the Wii or the Wii U, I wouldn't even care. The Switch could be the be-all, end-all system for playing classic games. Finally, we've got a handheld that's powerful enough to comfortably emulate games all the way up through the GameCube with a beautiful high-definition screen, and you can't see the benefit in that? I know lots of people love to collect games, they like having those classic systems with their cool gaming rooms and all that. That's great, those are awesome. But I personally am about convenience. I don't want to keep a space for each of my dusty old systems and constantly switch between them. I don't want to spend $50 on an SNES game and keep it in a big tub filled with other SNES games. And I know I've already played a lot of these games a million times by now, but the idea of having them all in one place on the go is just unreal. It's classic gaming finally perfected. It's the apex of retro Nintendo. And I'm baffled that this even has to be said. I feel like it should be obvious why this is preferable to this. The Wii and Wii U are certainly more convenient than owning a whole bunch of physical media, and those are still options, certainly, but even then, you can't take that stuff on the go and boot it up in 2 seconds. The Switch was created with comfort and convenience in mind. The idea of having options is built into its very identity. If the Virtual Console was gonna go the way of the dodo, I just have to wonder why it had to be now, of all times. I wonder why this is exactly when Nintendo chose to upheave the whole thing and make us wait a super long time and be all cryptic about it. One final time, I shall say that we don't know what Nintendo's thinking or how the platform will look in a few years, and I'm not trying to tell you I'm positive that we'll never get our classic games or that I'll absolutely hate whatever package they eventually come in. I was just looking forward to the Virtual Console so much that its death is disappointing. I personally hate the idea of all my games coming through a subscription service. I want to buy them and have them, period, so that even when I stop paying the yearly fee or the service goes down, I've still got those games on my system. And there are many cases where I'm willing to pay more for a remaster or a collection, but there are plenty of others where I just want to spend a reasonable amount and get a game exactly the way it's always been. The Switch is just the perfect system for this stuff, and to be honest, in many ways, the Switch is making Nintendo relevant again. The Wii had a massive audience, but a huge amount of it was made up of non-gamers who eventually lost interest. The Wii U didn't sell well at all, and during its life, we saw that very few kids were being turned into new Nintendo fans. But the Switch is bringing in new fans and even recapturing old ones, and on it, the Virtual Console had an opportunity to reach more people than ever. The strength of these old games can work both to deepen interest in Nintendo's franchises for the newbies and pull in a lot of extra dough from the nostalgic old-timers like me. That's why messing with the formula is a little scary. If they're gonna scrap the VC and try again with a whole new angle, they've got to really nail it. It's gotta be simple, it's gotta offer good value, and most importantly, it's got to exist. However it ends up looking, these games need to become available for people who are dying to buy them. As I mentioned in a previous video, I did a little bit on an excellent video over on Beat 'em Ups about how the lack of a Virtual Console on Switch was allowing indies more room to flourish. And while I think that's definitely true, I also think there will come a time when that little head start period should end. Give the indies a chance, sure, but the Switch shouldn't be on the market for too long without offering us those old games we just can't seem to stop buying. However long that's gonna be though, one thing that would make all this better would be if Nintendo was just a little more clear about their intentions. If they really do plan on letting me play Super Mario 64 on my Switch someday, it would be great to know, because right now they're inviting everyone, nay, begging them to hack their Switches and download all the ROMs they want. I'm not interested in doing such a thing, and I'm certainly not going to tell you that you should do such a thing, but by offering such a small range of classic games without promising to bring in more platforms in the future, and also without assuring us that we'll be able to keep the games we gain access to down the line, that's exactly what they're encouraging. A lot of people don't want to wait a million years to play the old games. They'd rather crack open their Switches and jam them all in now for free. And that would most certainly not be a good thing for Nintendo. So please, Nintendo, if I'm gonna be able to play Paper Mario in the bathtub in the near future, let me know. And if not, then, well, you and I have a lot to talk about, because that would be messed up. Though to be clear, that's one remaster I'm willing to pay for, and I will pay any amount of money. So there you have it. I know all that might sound a little doom and gloomy, but hey, I'm a gaming YouTuber. Hot takes are my job. And this is at least how I currently feel about the news. But hey, you never know what'll happen. E3 is in a month, and E3 is in a month?